Looking after myself has become extremely important, because if you don't look after yourself in a positive way, you can't help anybody that is ill. It's being social, it's walking, it's taking care of myself personally in a positive manner.
Yes, I went through the period of really deep sadness when I lost my husband. Really, husband of 40 years and very supportive. When I started analyzing the gap between my two children, yeah, calm down with music. That's it. I play piano at home. Even my daughter now start listening, and aromatherapy is part of my life. Always, I have candles beside my and diffuser beside my bed.
I think each day you just don't know what to expect. Emotions just go up and down from day to day. You just try and deal with it the best you can. Talking to other people is the way I used to deal with it, get more counselling, because sometimes you question yourself, are you doing the right thing, are you doing the wrong thing, can you doing it better maybe? So it's just a lot of discussing with as many people as you can, making sure that you feel confident enough that what you're doing is the best you can do, that you're doing. And sometimes you just got to realise that the person you're caring for, that's all they know at that time. So they're reacting because of the way they feel. So you just have to understand that. If it means, like me many times, I would just walk away rather than stand there and have a 2-hour argument, because it's not going to get anywhere. So that's just what I picked up, that sometimes best not to say anything, walk away, and then start the new day, next day, and it could be a good day, it may not be. So it's just every day's different. You just got to stay positive. I take every day is a bonus. That's the way I look at it.
Isolation for me is really tempting, and not so much with the case with my son, but I also cared for another child who's now independent and caring for themselves. So it is really tempting just to put on a face when you have to, and so I had to go to work. So I felt sometimes like I was a wind-up toy. I would go to work and I would just, like, the thing about fake it till you make it, I would be doing a lot of that. And that was the detriment to everybody when I isolated myself. It was the detriment to the people that I was trying to take care of, and it was detriment to me. And there are different types of isolation too. I think the thing that got me out of my isolation was actually going for long walks and connecting with nature. And just like going for walks in your community, and even somebody who says morning or afternoon or gives you a smile, that's a lovely connection. So, yeah, it's really tempting to isolate, and I think you just have to make a step, and it can be a small step.
Yes, self-blame. Well, I guess we all blame ourselves at one time or another in life when something goes wrong. We're not given a book at school, this is how to be a parent, which probably we should have all been, instead of learning about Jack and Jill up the hill and all that sort of stuff. But I look back and think it was the best I could do at the time that I knew. I mean, I can blame my parents on how my life is today, but I think that's how the times were back then, that's how I grew up. Today it's my life, my choices, and that's the way I see things. Okay, something doesn't work out right. I always look and try and focus on the positive. Right? With anything that goes wrong, I believe there's always a positive in there. Forget about what's gone wrong, focus on that little positive and get your mind thinking positive again. And from that you learn and you start again the next day. That's the only way I can deal with it and know that because you can dwell on it and maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done that, but at the end of the day, you can't change the past. You just got to try and move on and learn from it, and hopefully, yeah, things get better. So.
Having faced a few dangerous times we did have a plan. Our plan was we contacted the Family Violence Unit of the police. So if we rang them, they came in very mindful that was mentally unwell. He wasn't violent, and that took a bit of pressure off Phil and I. I also had made contact with a few of the neighbours because was a bit prone to walking the streets and screaming of a night time, and I just said, look, he's not violent, he's just very vocal. You had to be strategic because it was keeping him safe and it was keeping Phil and I safe. You've got to keep your calmness and you've got to be level-headed about it. And the thing that I would say is you never say never, because the minute you don't think it's going to happen, it really could happen.
Set clear boundaries. I did find that a bit difficult at the start, mainly because of the sort of kind and soft-natured person I am. But I slowly learnt that you had to be tough with the boundaries, and I found that because if they know you're the soft person, they'll keep on doing it and you'll give in. I found that, okay, once I set the boundaries and I said this is the way it is, and I kept on sticking to those boundaries. Second time they would try, third time they wouldn't even try anymore because they know they're my boundaries and I'm sticking to them. So I've learned how to do that now, so, and it works.
I think it should be about contacting to see what's available out there, because in the past I have used Centrelink as a safety net, and also there are other things available that I think it's about, you know, seeking those things out. So it's not necessarily about going to Centrelink, but it's about saying, look, I'm struggling financially, or I need some help getting into a course, or I need some help getting into services, and speaking up for that. I think that's really important. You know, I mean, even starting with your local general practitioner, or Google, because we're adults, so now we Google. That's great. So yeah, that kind of thing.
When my daughter, she had an attempt to take her life, and now for maybe 6-7 years she never talked about it, but in the past it was, and I'm very grateful that the CAT team really exists, and they are so amazing people, because they coming every day to visit my daughter, to see her and talk to her. Still keep the number in my diary and still remember these people. So I prepare for that. I know that the possibility of getting in contact with them again. If something really happened to my daughter, she's stable now. You never know. Since I met CAT, and I start more regularly to visit the office here, I feel more supportive and more comfortable, feeling that really they help.
In the beginning of this journey, we did seek out help through our local GP. She said, now these are the people that you need to make contact with. You need to make contact with OPA and Carers Victoria. They will be in our mind of information. And they were, and through Carers Victoria we did looking after ourselves workshop that went over a 5-week period, which really helped. It made us au fait with lots of the general terms that the practitioners would use. And then we did another workshop with them, and it was called Asking Better Questions, and that was important. The more we asked, the more we wanted to know, the more we needed to learn, and we needed the encouragement, and they were there to give us that. So it was like a collaborative effort, really. You never know where your support and your information is going to come from, because I talk with everybody that I meet about mental health and mental well-being. I'm amazed the amount of information you can glean by just casual chatting. It's really amazing, because everybody has a story to tell.
Revising a strategy, I think that's linked to, it's called recovery. So yes, sometimes maybe you think you're taking a couple of steps forward, and then there are going to be setbacks. So at the moment my son is in a stage where he's getting an education. So that was a step for him. So, and that's a big step for him. And so it's his journey. It's not my journey. My journey is slightly different, and to remember that for them, so that in the end you want them to manage their life, and it's not for you to manage it. So it's about that you can be alongside them with that recovery, but then you have your own recovery to make, and it's not going to go back to the way it was before. There's not going to be a cure. It's much more subtle and dare I say wondrous, that it's a recovery, and you learn things about yourself and you learn things about them, which you wouldn't have done if this hadn't have come along.